So there's this mysterious mark on Donald Trump's hand, and the internet is just going wild. But what if I told you that's not even the full story? We're going to break down what's really happening.
But real quick, before we get into it, if you love explainers that get straight to the point, do me a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. It seriously helps a ton. All right, let's just dive right in. This whole thing kicked off with one photo and some mysterious red marks on Donald Trump's hand. So what is actually going on here? So we thought this was all about his right hand, but nope, the story just took a twist. Now his left hand is getting it on the action. That's right, just this past weekend, boom, a brand new bruise pops up. But this time, get this, it's on his left hand. And you know, the crazy part is where this came from. It wasn't some official press photo. Nope, it was just a casual Instagram video from Casey Clemens. Yeah, son of the baseball legend Roger Clemens, just hanging out on the golf course. Okay, so you might be thinking, hold on, could the video just be mirrored? And you know what? That's a great question. We see it all the time on social media, right? But let's actually check the evidence. And yep, here's the dead giveaway. The logo on the back of his hat, it's facing the right way. So no mirror effect here. That is 100% a new mark on his left hand. So look, this is the really crucial part. This isn't just some random one-time thing. It's actually the latest piece of the puzzle in a pattern that's been building for a little while now. Let's rewind a bit. This whole thing really started back in February with some marks on his right hand. Then, just last week, he was kind of awkwardly trying to hide that same hand. And then, just 2 days later, bam, this new bruise shows up on the left. So with all these photos and all this chatter online, you've got to ask, right? What is the official story coming from the White House? Well, here is the statement from the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. The official line, he's a man of the people, he's shaking hands all day, every day, more than any other president in history. But on that very same day, at the golf club, something else popped up that got people talking. Yeah, apparently, according to the scorecard that was shared, he came in 4th out of 4. Okay, but let's get back to the more medical side of things. All right, so beyond the handshaking excuse, we got a more medical explanation from Trump's physician, Navy Captain Sean Barbella. He says it's consistent with, quote, minor soft tissue irritation from all that handshaking, but also, and this is key, from the use of aspirin. And that word, aspirin, that's a huge clue here, because this whole thing is way bigger than just his hands. It's time to connect some dots. See, around the same time all this was happening, the White House also revealed a new health diagnosis that, well, it puts everything into a whole new context. He's been diagnosed with something called chronic venous insufficiency, or CVI. So what is that? Basically, it means the veins in the legs have a tough time pushing blood back up to the heart. And what does that cause? Swollen legs. It's actually pretty common. And when I say common, I mean it's common for people over 70. President Trump, as you know, is 79 years old. Okay, so let's put this all together, right? On one hand, you've got the bruises, which they're explaining with handshaking and aspirin. And on the other, you've got the swollen legs, which they're attributing to the CVI diagnosis. It all seems to point to a bigger picture of his cardiovascular health. But wait, it's not quite case closed. Even with these official explanations, there are still some pretty big questions just hanging in the air. For starters, the White House press secretary mentioned they try to get a physician to answer questions from the press. Well, that hasn't happened. And probably the biggest thing, President Trump himself hasn't said a word about any of this. And that really leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? With all of this speculation swirling around, is the president going to step up to the mic and just address it all himself? That's really the main thing to watch for as this whole story keeps going. All right, now I want to know what you think. Is this a whole lot of nothing, or are there real questions here that need answers? Let me know your take down in the comments. And hey, if you like this explainer and you want to stay in the loop, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.